What's up producers, welcome back to the channel. In this video we'll have a look at one of my songs that I got out last year. It's called Higher with Mons and I wanted to break down this one for a while. This track breakdown is gonna be a little bit more educative because I will walk you through my creative process and you'll basically know how I think and what I usually keep in mind when I'm making a track. Before we actually start, I quickly wanted to say thank you so much for supporting my sample pack. It's been so nice to see that you find it helpful and you enjoy it. Even K9 bought it and he sent me like a nice compliment on it. If you don't know that I released a sample pack, you can check a video about it in the description. I also quickly wanted to remind you that I have the Discord community with producers. It's free to join and you can also find a link in the description. Now let's don't waste any time and let's learn something new. Okay, so if you don't know this track, let me just play you the final version. Then for the second drop, we have a cheeky 4x4 happy hardcore inspired drop. How the idea actually came together. I was approached by Mons and his manager a while ago, and basically the idea for this track, this is really important, this is how I actually work with every single track. I have a track in like a specific style, or it's gonna be influenced by a specific producer or specific sound or specific topic or something like this. I find it much easier to actually make something but also finish the tracks. So the main topic for this one was to go for like a happy hardcore mainstream type of DnB, something like Subfocus and Dimension Ready to Fly, and this was the draft version that Mons sent me, and it sounds completely different, but I will play it. Take me higher, never let me go. So yeah, this part is like quite similar to the second drop of the full new track. When I heard this, I obviously liked the vocal the most, but I felt like the instrumental could be like more energetic. And then I thought about my other project I hate for a while. I will come back to it. I also thought that the vocal is okay, but like the whole vocal and the whole track is not as uplifting as it could be. What I did, and when he sent me over the stems, I pitched the acapella. I feel like it was only by 100 cents. And I ended up having the whole song, like the final version in G minor. It's like a really uplifting key and I love writing in it. It's really good for like this type of melodic things. When I heard this, I immediately thought about one of my projects that I was making at the moment, and I had there this type of piano. When I was making this melody, like in that different project, my main inspiration was like a Calvin Harris type of track, more poppy, radio friendly. One of his main elements in his track Miracle is this piano. This is just a layer, but this sample here is what I had in that project, and it sounds like this. And basically this sound is like a really sharp piano, and it's actually like a specific type of piano. It comes out of this synth. I don't have it, it's just a demo. This Korg M1. I'm sure you know about it. It's like a really popular, especially in house music. And there is this like a bright piano. I believe it was this one, the M1 house split. So on the lower notes you have that iconic like organ bass. And then you have that piano. It's super specific. I wasn't able to find anything that sounded like this. Nothing sounds as iconic as this Korg M1 piano. Luckily it works for 20 minutes as a demo, so I just wrote the melody and then I bounced it into WAV file and I got this. Anyway, I still kind of wanted to use some type of piano chords at the beginning, but nothing really worked, and even when I was like trying to come up with chords, it didn't sound as good as I wanted to. So I was looking at Splice and I found like a few piano loops, and these are like two completely different samples. I think one of them was also different key. So there's a second sample, and this is like the first one. This one was nice, but it reminded me a lot of the Ready to Fly thing, and I didn't want to sound it as similar. It also didn't work with the rest of the sound, like with that other piano melody I have there, the main one. So what I did was that I kind of like chopped everything up. I didn't have the preset for it, I didn't have the chords. I wrote the bass line, and then I kind of matched the sample with the bass line, so I chopped it up and I rearranged it, and this is how it sounds with the intro Reese bass. You can hear, like when it's playing now, you can hear those sounds are not the same, but when you play it with all the elements, I think you won't even notice. Now we are in the intro, so I can already cover this, which is like a string, like a one shot, or basically one sustained note. I use this sound, I would say, in 90% of my tracks. In this specific track, it's kind of like a must-have iconic sound. It's simple, but it's so effective. So when I play the intro without it, it immediately gives you like more energy. Why I'm saying this is that, like I was saying at the beginning of this video, that when I make a track, I have basically a vision of what type of track I want to make or what is my inspiration or something, and this is one of the things. More elements in the intro are basically just some filling sounds, some pads, some atmospheres. We can play a few of them. Another thing is this pad. I'm not exactly sure if it's doing something in the intro because I feel like you can barely hear it. What I done was that I basically, these are the root notes, these three chords, the D sharp, F and G. So I just did like a basic triad and then also use the root note again on a higher octave. And like I said, I'm not sure if it does something in the intro. I'm glad I did it because it's basically how I made another sound that's really important for this track. And I'm talking about this one. So if you look at the notes, again, D sharp, F, G, and then the other notes from the triads, but basically I use them as an arp. I think I only chopped the chords into like a small pieces, and I did this arrangement, if that makes sense. I was taking inspiration from a track by Dimension called Satellite, and if you listen to it, you will probably hear this sound is like almost identical. It's also iconic for the happy hardcore. There's a filter, it's not working now, I don't know why. If you play without it, it sounds like this. Pretty boring, I would say. Now when I enable it, okay, sounds as now without the filter, but anyway. By the way, cheeky self-promo, this sound. The same sound from this track is in the sample pack, one of the presets. Four of the presets in that pack are something I use daily in my own tracks. Part of the stems was this weird, cheesy as hell sound, which sounds like this. And I was like, God, there's no way I'm using this in my track. It sounds super cheesy. But then I thought it would be a pity not to use it, because when I was listening to it without it, I was missing it. It's something you call earworm, something that will get stuck in your head and it's easy to remember. Then the pre-drop section, nothing crazy there, just the ARP with a non-working filter and the crazy synth shot, the cheesy one, and the vocal plays. Never let me go. You could hear that if I didn't have there the ARP, it would be too empty, but the vocal is playing and it's main element, so you can't put there anything like too heavy that will kill the vocal or will clash with the vocal, and this ARP worked perfectly, and it was basically like supporting the vocal but also increasing the energy. And then the track basically goes to the drop section, which sounds like this. So I'm bringing the piano, the M1 piano, the house piano, Calvin Harris piano, or whatever you call it, in the build-up, and I don't have any filter on it. It just worked, and it didn't need to have a filter on it. And I feel like this is the first track I use where I don't have like a proper soul lead or any type of lead as the main element. So in the drop there is that piano, like you probably heard about it a million times by now. I'm also looping the vocal, like a vocal atmosphere, and in between the vocal atmosphere there's this like a word repeating higher, which is like the track name. Sorry, I was wrong. That's actually the... Well, it says higher, but it doesn't sound like higher. It sounds like a pitched, cheesy higher thing. Another atmosphere made out of the vocal is this one. And if I play them, it sounds like this. And if you look at this, you could also hear, but you can also see that every time the vocal higher comes, the atmospheres are gone. So I'm kind of like making a little call and response, but also giving space to that higher thing. I could probably continue with the atmospheres and just turn down the volume, but yeah, I just did this. And another thing that's helping to like have this drop a little bit more powerful are the whomps. Yeah, a bunch of sounds, probably some horn stub, whatever. But I'm using it every time the new bass note comes, and that's making like the energy. Without it, it sounds like ass. If you look at this, it's just this really. I would say this track is not that like technical. And then the track goes to the second 16 bar where I'm bringing back the vocal. And that cheesy vocal shot. I mean cheesy shot, synth shot. And as you can see, it has only two 16 bars. So this is also because I wanted to make something like a more mainstreamy, radio friendly. Now the second drop, that's that 4x4 happy hardcore drop, which sounds like this. In this section, I mean in this drop, as you can see, the first drop had that piano melody as a main element and the vocal came back later, but in this drop the main element is the vocal. It's basically almost identical to the arrangement of the first draft. Take me higher, never let me go. Yeah, that one sounds like a bit more old schooly and like a really like a happy hardcore, but obviously I wanted to make it a little bit more modern. So I have there this kick. Feel free to steal this kick. It's on Splice, it's from Splice. I think this kick, I use it all the time when I make like a 4x4. At least I used it quite a lot now, because if you listen to it, it has that like a really nice, like a pitched transient, almost like a, for like a hard style. And it sounds like, it's like a, you know, pretty punchy and it fits so well. So I use that. There's only the vocal, the same bass line, the kick, obviously, and just some effects like some sweeps and shit. everything is sidechained, then the cheesy shot, and then later I'm bringing more drums, so like a kick and some hi-hats.
In this moment, we can lose control. Love forever, burning through my soul.
And then I forgot to talk about this element, it's important, like the happy hardcore crash. So I use the standard arrangement, it sounds like this. Dimension has entered the chat, but I love this sound, I use it all the time. I feel like every Dancefloor DnB producer use it. No hate, just saying. Later on, we have like the last 16 bar where the vocal is not anymore. I'm bringing back the ad-libs and then the arp and then the one-shot string, the sustain string. What's happening in this last 16 bar is like a new melody that I did in an interesting way. Let's play it. Wasn't planning on using any melody there, but I was again browsing Splice. I do this often. It's like I found so many cool things there just like for inspiration. Sometimes I just drag and drop it, but in this case I found this loop and I was like, okay, that sounds nice. When I heard it, I immediately had an idea for like this melody basically. So what I did was that I recreated the sound basically. That's it. By the way, this one is also from the preset pack. So I basically made my new melody, which was inspired by a sample. And this is a cool way. What you can also do, just find something and you can basically get inspired by it, extend it, change the notes, or maybe just use a piece of it. I could probably just chop up this one shot, you know, like make a lot of copies of it, of that one shot and go with pitch, you know, back and forth. But it would be like time consuming and I love that sound and I made something that is like 99% identical. And I ended up like making the patch, making the melody, and I'll probably use it like more times because I really like the sound. It's like nothing complicated really, just so as always, but the noise is giving like a little bit more power and it's like fine pitch, so there's a bit of like a phasing and yeah. Anyway, this is pretty much what I wanted to show you, is that I was working on a track with this piano melody. I was quite like struggling with it, I didn't know what to do with it, and then Mons hit me up with that and I got inspired by the vocal and I just pitched it up to G minor, which was like this piano melody was already in that key, and suddenly I just could finish the track, you know. So this is your sign to not delete any of your projects, even when they are old. You never know when you will use something. Suggest is that you just have a session, maybe just do some melodies or samples and you bounce out everything. Even if not as a WAV file, do it at least as a MIDI file and save everything into one folder. When you are struggling and you have no inspiration, you can either buy my sample pack and have some idea from it. No, I'm joking. I'm done with the pitching. I was gonna say that if you are staring at a blank project, have a scroll through your old projects. The thing is that if you didn't know how to progress on track this April, maybe you will know like in 3 months, you know, because you still evolve and you like different sounds later and you learn something new every day. I just wanted to show you this. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please let me know if you have any questions. You can just comment below. And yeah, hope you have a good day. See you next time.